Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me here on your weekly tech update, the show that explores the newest, coolest, and sometimes mind-boggling side of tech available on the interwebs. I'm your lifelong Trekkie, Ray McNeal. Coming up on the program today, a new device can heal with a single touch and even repair brain injuries. You can now watch outer space from your couch for free on a live stream. And happening in this week's What The, a resident comes home to find that a mystery intruder, we'll call him, had cleaned the apartment. What would you think? All that and much more coming up on your weekly tech update next. Hi everyone. Until the taxi drones take over, Michelin is probably going to be in the business of selling tires. But its idea of what they might look like in a few decades is utterly alien. The Vision is an organic, airless, rechargeable 3D printed tire. In theory anyway. The far-out concept was floated at Michigan's Moving On conference in Montreal. The tire would be made from biosourced and biodegradable materials. That will include natural rubber, paper, tin cans, wood, even electronic and public waste, as well as a handful of other recyclable items to minimize its environmental impact. It would also be airless, so you wouldn't have to worry about flats, which would be awesome. But perhaps the biggest would-be feature is that the Vision would be a rechargeable tire. The dream, as Michelin presents it, would be to have machines that can actually print new and different surfaces onto your tires on the flip of a dime. Like more aggressive treads in the winter months, for instance. Of course, the only thing that might be worse than actually buying snow tires would be having to find an expensive 3D printer just to refresh your tires. Michelin's Executive Vice President of Research and Development, Terry Geddes, said it will be at least another 10 years before the tire is brought to market. I really think we're going to see an airless 3D printed tire much quicker than that. But then again, I am always hopeful that new tech makes it to market in the shortest time possible. And as we know, it doesn't always happen. Taking a whiff of a tray of multiplied cells made from the stem cells scraped off of a dead fish, all you could really smell is a faint aroma of something off, fishy even. The co-founders of Finless Foods are working every holiday and weekend to feed the cells so that they divide and grow well enough to construct a fish fillet of edible meat within the next few months. One of my all-time favorite TV shows is off of the Sci-Fi Network. It's called Eureka. And in one of the episodes, they went to the town's chicken farm and found out that all the chicken in the town was actually grown in a lab hanging off of the walls. I've always thought this was a fascinating idea, and apparently I'm not the only one. The biotechnology startup is pinning all of its hopes on consumers choosing lab-made meat over the potentially overfished and antibiotic-laden pieces of fish that they might be purchasing now. There are so many experts loudly warning about the pillaging of fish from oceans, but multiple agencies and reports all seem to settle on one statistic. 31% of global fish stocks are currently being overfished. And the trend shows that commercial fishing will likely die out unless we start effectively managing fisheries worldwide. A few select countries like New Zealand are shining examples of management done right. But that's not enough, especially because many fish are caught illegally. Researchers warn that even well-managed fisheries won't save the oceans from what seems to be coming. In California, scientists forecast that human actions like urbanization, agriculture, fishing, existing dams, and climate change will contribute to the death of half of the state's native trout and salmon population within the next 50 years. That's why marine biologists in a San Francisco aquarium are fired up and and doing more than just educating visitors about wildlife. We are taking fish from the world's oceans on an unsustainable pace, said Melissa Schaust, a marine biologist at Aquarium of the Bay. Globally speaking, it is one of the biggest environmental threats that this world faces. This kind of business activism has been done before. Professor Mark Post caused a media storm back in 2013 when he famously cooked and consumed red meat that he had grown in a lab. It was so successful that Post founded a company, Moza Meat, that aims to have cell-cultured meat available for $30 a pound within the next 3 years. Would you buy it, you think? And Hampton Creek, owners of vegan darling Just Mayo, is also newly on board, announcing in June that it will begin making a lab-made meat. It intends to get its product into grocery stores by next year. Pretty ambitious. The most ambitious goal, in fact, of all the groups working on cell-cultured fish. Then again, the company got a $100 million investment last year, so perhaps it's doable for them at least. With a growing demand for protein the world over, Finless Foods, Moza Meat, Hampton Creek, and a few others are at the forefront of a trend that the following generation might find routine, creating lab-made, not pasture-raised or fresh-caught meat. You all know that I'm a Trekkie, and in this week's medical news, it seems like it could be right out of Star Trek. A new device developed at The Ohio State University can start healing organs in a fraction of a second. The technology, known as tissue nanotransfication, or TNT they're calling it, has the potential to save lives of car crash victims and even deployed soldiers injured on site. It's a dime-sized silicone chip that injects genetic code into skin cells, turning those skin cells into other types of cells required for treating diseased conditions. That's according to the release. In lab test, one touch of TNT completely repaired injured legs of mice over 3 weeks by turning skin cells into vascular cells. And it not only works on skin, it can restore any type of tissue. Chandan Sen, director of the Center for Regenerative Medicine and Cell-Based Therapies, said, for example, the technology restored brain function in a mouse who suffered a stroke by growing brain cells on its skin. This is a breakthrough technology because it's the first time cells have been reprogrammed on a living body. A new study published in Nature Nanotechnology points out that current cell therapy methods are high risk, like those that introduce a virus and include multiple steps. There are no side effects to TNT, and treatment is less than 1 second, Sen said. This technology does not require a laboratory or hospital and can actually be executed in the field. It's less than 100 grams to carry and will have a long shelf life. It is awaiting FDA approval currently, but Sen, who's been working on this for 4 years, expects TNT to be tested on humans within the next year. In fact, he's so confident, he's currently talking with the Walter Reed National Medical Center about the next step.